Thanks, Wade. Okay, so wonderful job. Another great company here is LiveRez. Tracy Lotz. Where are you, Tracy? Coming up. Fantastic company. Come up, Tracy, and let's hear it for Tracy, LiveRez.
How's everybody doing this morning? You guys all awake and alive? Huh? How many of you guys out here are startups right now? How many venture capital, private equity kind of people in? Okay, so I'm going to apologize in advance if I piss anybody off, okay? You're not going to get a PowerPoint out of me this morning. I've been forever shamed into not using PowerPoints. Do you guys all know who Marcus Luttrell is? Lone survivor, the Navy SEAL. He was the keynote speaker at our conference this summer up in Sun Valley, and we had about 500 people up there. And you know, he's a Texan, and he's a big guy. And he got up in front of our group of people, and he said, "I don't have a PowerPoint. PowerPoints are for wimps." And you know, so I quit using PowerPoints that day. I ended it. So at any rate, my name is I'm Tracy Lotz, as Jay pointed out, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called LiveRez down in Eagle, and we might be the only company around that you guys really haven't heard of. But I get people coming up to me all the time asking me about that startup we have down in Eagle, and I tell everybody, man, this startup's a 22-year overnight success, you know? And I started it in the spare bedroom of my house down in Manhattan Beach, California, about 22 years ago, and moved to Idaho in 1998. And you know, I get people coming up to me all the time. They got great ideas. They have things that they're interested in. And one of the first things that I start asking entrepreneurs about their business, what are you trying to do? What do you want? And almost the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, "We need to go get funding." And I'm like, really? How about a product? How about what you're trying to do? And, you know, how about funding your business through revenue? That might be a novel idea, you know, that we can actually fund our businesses through revenue. And, you know, so I've been given that advice. To date, we've taken on zero outside funding, none, not a penny. And we've become the largest platform to the vacation rental management industry in the world. There's no other company that services more vacation rental management companies than us. And about a year ago, we started doing some work with Airbnb, and Airbnb scoured the planet, man. They went everywhere. We had Sean Stewart, who's a former Expedia executive. He spoke at our conference last year in Sun Valley, and he'll tell you that they interviewed 87 software companies. They went to South Africa, to Prague, to Barcelona, Spain, all over the world, and they looked for they found 87 software companies out there that do software in the vacation rental industry, and they picked us to interface with them. So we're the first software platform to interface with Airbnb. And you know, and Sean Stewart would tell you the reason that they picked us was because everybody else was telling them what they wanted to hear. Everybody else was saying, pick us, we'll do it for free, we'll pay you to let us do it. And I sat down with a colleague of mine in San Diego with them about a little over a year ago, and I had a sheet of 15 things that they needed to fix and change, or this was a moot point, and we didn't even have anything to talk about. And Sean Stewart at that point looked at both of us and he says, "You guys are my guys. You didn't, you know, if I got a bad haircut, you're going to tell me I got a bad haircut. If I'm not doing the right thing, you're going to tell me I'm not doing the right thing." And we told them there's 15 things you got to change, ways that you take refunds and ways that you take security deposits and how much. I mean, there was just this list that didn't work for a property manager in the Airbnb world. And so they fixed all 15 of them. They did all 15 of the things that we wanted to do. And, you know, now we've got our property managers pushing their inventory. We've interfaced with Airbnb. We've got all of our property managers now pushing their inventory out into Airbnb, and they're having tremendous success doing that. And so you know, my advice to everybody out here today would be, you know, just to give you a little background on myself. I grew up down in this town called Harbor City, California. It's right next to the LA Harbor. The fame for Harbor City is it's not a harbor and it's not even a city. It was part of the city of Los Angeles, and they were going to make it. That's a long story. The biggest claim to fame for Harbor City is there's this old sewage drain that goes in. It's about 20 acres, and somebody let their pet alligator out of their bathtub and put it in the slough. So you can look up Reggie the alligator, and he was in the harbor slough. But growing up there, I grew up a block from a housing project. I was a busboy in a restaurant when I was 12 years old, and my last 2 years of high school, I slept in my Volkswagen van. And I don't tell you that to feel sorry for me. What I do tell you that for is to tell you that we live in an amazing country. We live in a country where a guy who slept in a van his last 2 years of high school. I also voted for Ronald Reagan that year, and you know, we got to give those plugs in for the Gipper now and then, right? But you know, that you can do it, and you don't have to mortgage your company. I'm not saying that anybody is, but boy, I'll tell you what, we've self-funded this thing. We fought. We did the right things. We only had a little bit of money, so we had to spend money on things that were important. And I'm going to close with a little example of that. Our biggest competitor, when we launched this in 2008, had a couple-year head start, and they had $30 million of venture capital money in them. We killed these guys. We took all their customers. We were taking their customers for a couple of years, and one day I get a phone call from the CEO of that company. They're in Seattle, the Darth Vader building, this huge building. Their rent was more than my overhead for the month. And I get a call from the CEO. He's a Harvard guy, former Microsoft executive, and he calls me up. We've already taken half their customer base. This guy calls me up, and he says, "Tracy, I got a great idea." It's like 10 to 6. I'm still sitting at my desk, so he's 10 to 5. He says, "I got a great idea." I go, "What's your great idea?" He said, "I think we ought to merge. I think we ought to merge our companies." And in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, dude, we already are. Huh? One customer at a time, man, we're merging. So I'm sitting there listening to him for about 10 minutes, and he looks at me and he says, "Oh, hang on, man, I got to go. I got to go." "Well, what do you got to go for?" My bus is going to come." I thought to myself, wait a minute. You just call. We're killing you. I'm still at work. It's 10 to 6. You're calling me to tell me that you think we should merge, and you got to leave for your bus. I had to ask, what bus? He goes, "Well, we've implemented a global warming carbon neutral plan here. We hired a consultant, and all of our employees take public transportation." And I'm sitting here thinking, dude, there's not a 515 bus? You got to get on the 5. Right? And that's what they were doing with their $30 million. And when the smoke settled and we had crushed them, they were sold for $10 million. Okay? So if you're going to take money, you better know what you're using it for. You better know why you're taking it, and you better know who you're taking it from. Because if you want, and you need to ask yourself 2 questions. Am I here to build a company, or am I here for an exit? Okay? Because if you're here to build a company, your time frame might be different than, because I'm 22 years on this deal, your time frame might be different. And if you've only got a little bit of time, then you need to, you just need to make sure you know who you're taking your money from. And I know he's telling me to stop talking, but I'm going to take one more second. Okay? I may be violating an NDA right now, but I don't care. Okay? I was in San Francisco. This is props to everybody in this room. Okay? I was at dinner last Thursday night with the CFO of Airbnb and with another guy, and we're having dinner. And we're discussing a bunch of stuff, and at one point during dinner, I stopped and I looked at him and I said, "Hey man, I'm just a guy from Idaho." And he looked at his partner, and his partner looked at him, and those guys came unglued, man. They said, "Don't pull that crap on me, you're some guy from Idaho," right? Don't pull that. What do you mean you're just some guy from Idaho, right? Like I had overalls and some straw coming out of my mouth, right? And a cowboy hat. So we're on the map, guys. People know we're here, and God bless you, and let's keep working hard, okay?
Thanks, Tracy. Just a quick note, Harbor City, right, Tracy? Yeah. You talked about the alligator. Well, it sounds like Tracy's the most well-known thing out of Harbor City because the alligators you're doing eating up with their company. So good job.